we're going to have a little look at Sherlock Holmes. Listen to this. So although we're in a minor key, when we hit this chord, which is the fourth degree, it's major instead of minor. Okay, so that's a thing. Now listen to this. It's slightly less in your face this time, but again, you get this fourth degree, which is major instead of minor. And this is what you get in the Dorian scale, which is a great little vibe. Now, if you're not familiar with the Dorian scale, it's basically just a natural minor scale, but where we raise the sixth note, so we get, and this means that the fourth degree is major instead of minor.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
And look how different and how much heavier the last line would sound without the Dorian sixth. So we heard, and now without the Dorian sixth. Now, here's a neat little thing that you might not know about Dorian. It's self-inverse. And what I mean by this is, if you pick a scale, say the major scale, and you play through it, and you keep track of the intervals as you go up, then you can flip those intervals, and you get the inverse scale. So the inverse of a major scale is a Phrygian scale. Or if you start with a Lydian scale, then the inverse is a Locrian. But if you flip the intervals in a Dorian scale, you get Dorian again. It's self-inverse. Anyway, that's got nothing really to do with anything. It's just a cool feature of Dorian. Back to Sherlock and how they use Dorian. Now, it makes some sense to me that they would pick Dorian for the Sherlock vibe, because you get the darkness of minor, but you get this jaunty little light-hearted twist when you get to the fourth degree. Do you know who else gets this combo? Now, before we look at the other Sherlock, I want to make it very clear that it's not like this slightly dark, slightly playful, slightly mischievous vibe is like a mandatory for Dorian. For instance, here's a theme that also has the Dorian fourth degree, but it's got a completely different vibe. And here's another one which is also Dorian, but again has none of this playful, mischievous tone. And this also has the Dorian fourth degree. But one of the registers that Dorian has is definitely this half dark, half playful vibe. And only 7 months before Sherlock was released, we got the Sherlock Holmes film with Robert Downey Jr. And Hans Zimmer there went for the same Dorian fourth degree in the main theme, which is called Discombobulate.
Discombobulate.
And beyond the harmony, it's also kind of cool to see how similar the orchestration is for both Sherlocks. One final thought is that, at least in the examples that I've seen, when film composers use Dorian, they tend to avoid using pure Dorian, and instead they combine this Dorian fourth degree with chords that have the natural minor sixth note. So for instance, we had, and this is major, but then immediately that's minor. A very popular option, which is a very, very cool sound, is to follow the Dorian fourth degree with the sixth degree. And I'm going to leave you with a few examples of that.
In her waters deep and true lie the answers and a path for you.